Welcome back, beautiful people. I'm here with the beautiful and talented Danielle Martorano.
Perfect.
Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
And she is with Chicago Title. She is our escrow agent. She's been in the business
almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
I'm aging myself, aren't
I?
Okay.
She's one of my go-tos. I try to get my deals with her every time, all the time. It's because, I'll say this again, I say this often, it's all about your network in real estate and who you have working with. And she always answers my phones, answers my questions, digs into things that I don't know about because I'm just don't know everything, unfortunately. So she's been in the business 20 years, Chicago Title, and you are an escrow officer. Escrow officer. She has a team that works with her. So I did this because I want to let everybody know what escrow does. It's Escrow Title here in Nevada. Some places they're separate, right?
That's correct.
So yeah, because people will get the prelims and they won't even read it. And they're like, what's this? I'm like, well, read it. And then they'll read it and they still don't understand it. So we're sitting down with a professional to hopefully go over all the Q&As that if you're watching this, that you have, and we answer it all. Danielle.
Yes.
You've been in the business 20 years. Do you like it?
I love it. It's always changing. There's always something new going on, something to learn. So even though you may not know every aspect of a prelim, I'm learning something all the time too. Yeah. This business is always changing. It's one of the things I love about it. Yeah, 100%. My broker said it best, I think, he's like, every deal's different because every person is different. Yes.
And it's like we have to do a lot of behavioral management sometimes.
Yes. I called it character building.
Character building, yes.
It's one of my favorite things.
Yes. Okay, so broad spectrum, what does title do?
So title and escrow are two different things. So even though here in Clark County, we are merged as one, title is what does all the searching on the property. So they'll do all the searching for liens, judgments, mechanics liens, anything that's recorded against the property. This can go back 30, 50 years sometimes. As much as the title department has to go back, they'll go back to make sure that there's been no errors during the time of ownership of the property. Escrow, we're the third party that receives earnest money, receives all the funds. We prepare all the documents and record all the documents. So that's the difference between the title and escrow part.
They go hand in hand. So
yes.
That's why they put them together.
Yeah.
Title insurance. What's title insurance do? Because people ask me, it's like, why do I need insurance on my title?
Yes. So. And that's a common misconception. A lot of people don't understand how important it is to have title insurance. Now, on a typical transaction, a non-cash transaction, so that means that a buyer is obtaining a loan, you have an owner's policy and a lender policy, two different things. Owner's policy is going to protect anything that's passed against the property. So let's just say a judgment gets recorded against that owner or a prior owner, and now your buyer is the owner of that property and somebody's trying to come back from the seller's past to file a lien against the property. Your title insurance is going to protect you for that. A lender's policy is going to protect the lender themselves, the bank. Okay. So in the event the buyer were to default on their loan, that lender is in first lien position to be able to foreclose on that property and take ownership.
Okay. So every time I open up an escrow, the next day you guys send out, what's it
called? Like an opening package?
You send out an opening package.
Yeah. So from the time we open up escrow, your client is going to be in contact with us. So let's just say you're representing the buyer. The buyer is going to receive a phone call from me directly, letting them know who I am. I'm officially opening up escrow with you. I let them know that we are sending them an email that's a link to a secured portal. This is very important to protect them against wire fraud. And I stress this to them verbally over the phone myself. Wire fraud is very, very real right now, and we want to protect the buyers. We have scammers and fraudsters out there that are impersonating me, where they will literally tap into an email. It could be your email. It could be the buyer's email impersonating me. It'll say Danielle.Martorano@ct.com rather than CTD. Yes. They'll put my picture in there and they will say, please send your money here. So I'm very diligent when I first open up escrow to let them know that this email is only coming from me. It comes from our secured portal. And then I even take it a step further and say, when you're ready, call me back and we'll verify those account numbers. So when we open up escrow, that happens within the first few hours. That email goes out, and then our title department starts running their title search. If it's a cash deal, those obviously can go a little bit faster. Depending if title is clear, I close a cash deal in 3 days if I have to, sometimes a little bit longer, but your average loan takes about 30 to 45 days.
Yeah, 30 to 45 days. And we get something called title instructions. Is that correct?
So there's two things. Like you, the agent, will get the opening package that has the prelim, your escrow instructions, and your commission instructions. That's just to you. Your client will get information forms, and if you're representing the buyer, will be our wire instructions too.
Okay. What is a prelim? Because I get the prelims. We go over the prelims. I'm pretty familiar with the prelim. Know what to look for. They'll have your taxes on it. They'll show any clouds or liens on title.
Yes.
They'll show if the taxes have been paid. They'll show easements on it.
Easements.
Okay, so what does a preliminary report cover?
So a preliminary report is going to outline what's currently on the property, and you just set yourself apart from a lot of others. You actually read your prelim. A lot of people don't, and that's okay, because that's my job. I'm going to be the one that looks at that prelim, and I'll inform all parties what's on this prelim. So first and foremost is who owns that property. We'll cross-reference who signed the contract. If I see that there's a trust, I'm going to request those entity documents to make sure that the authorized signer of that trust or entity is on our contract and can sign all closing documents. Then you're going to see, yes, the property taxes, if there's any outstanding liens, such as a mortgage. If they have a more common name, we're going to request what's called a statement of information to clear any possible judgments coming from child support to anything. And that's just part of our clearing process. Now, when it comes to easements, there's several different kinds. I know that you have your own story with that. The most common easement that I see is called a water conservation easement. This is where the homeowner, whether it's a past homeowner or your current homeowner, has reached out to the water district to change desert landscaping. And as a result, the water district paid that homeowner. They'll record an easement on there. And this isn't necessarily anything to be alarmed, but it should be notated on your SRPD for the buyer. But I'll inform all parties, hey, there's a water conservation easement, because let's just say it's a giant portion of the property and that buyer wants to go in later and put a pool in. They're going to get fined the same amount that that seller received to put desert landscape on. So it's just something to be aware of. That's the biggest easement that I see.
Okay, so buyers get a rebate from changing their grass to desert landscaping because it conserves water. The water company will then put an easement on it for converting that. And if you want to, let's say, put a pool in the backyard where that easement is, because the easement doesn't come off, right?
No,
it doesn't come off. It stays on the property. So if you want to put in a pool, you're going to get fined whatever the water company paid the property owner for that easement.
Yes, and I've seen it cover up the entire backyard, and then I've seen a tiny 200 square foot portion in the front yard. So it could be small, it could be big. And it's just something to address. And the only way that easement comes off is if it's paid back.
And you guys don't do anything with the recording or anything with easements. So I ran into one with the easement in South Shore just recently, actually. And it's from the HOA. And they have an easement to go to the side of the yard and the back of the yard for landscaping, and there's no way to take it off. All you have to do is send a letter to the HOA saying, we're going to take care of it, we don't need it, but that easement never comes off that property. So just be aware of that. The big one on prelims is the taxes, if they're paid or not, and those all get paid when it closes, right?
Yes, anything delinquent, basically anything with a dollar sign, we're going to make sure is paid current or paid in full.
What are some common judgments? I know I've seen some child support ones on there.
Child support is a big one. Liz pendants are one. Let's just say so-and-so wants to make sure that they're reimbursed construction or something like that. Let's just say a big job was done and they didn't get paid. They could file a Liz pendants against the property to ensure that they get paid in the event that homeowner sells. So we'll see quite a bit of those too. Any
ones that like make you pull out your hair and like,
I mean, I feel like my job is like a therapist sometimes. I have to just really stay neutral and listen to everyone's story. And that's part of why I love my job the most, is because I will absolutely sit there and listen to you. But at the end of the day, I tell them, like, I'm going to follow what's the written instruction. And one of the biggest thing I'm seeing currently in our market are a lot of divorces. A lot of sellers are getting divorced, which, it happens. But we have to follow that divorce decree. We have to ask for it up front. And everyone's emotions are high in real estate
Yeah.
already. So put a divorce in there or something like that. Like it's just heightened, and you have to have the right personality in this job to manage all of that.
100%. I've done a couple of divorces, but one was really bad. Like the morning of closing, he was like, I'm not giving her nothing.
Yeah.
She's not getting, I had to sit there for 4 hours on the phone with him, back and forth, back and forth. Finally, I talked some rationale into him and got him to settle on something and got it closed. And I was like, man, if I can do this, I can do anything.
Yeah. No, it's definitely hard to navigate stuff like that.
Because there's so much emotions in it. And I can only imagine a divorce in a house. So because you deal with a lot of documentation, people got to verify that they're them. What helps in the escrow title process from a seller or a buyer concerning documents and stuff like that?
I mean, the more I know up front, the smoother everything is going to be. So going back to just needing, if you own the property under a trust, needing those seller documents up front. Trust documentation, if it was an LLC, we need those entity documents. So I'm always reaching out to sellers, but in the event sellers most of the time think I'm spam. So I'll only ask you for help if I'm on my third request or so, but just helping us make sure that that doesn't get forgotten about even 2 weeks into escrow, because we don't want to cause any delays. Let's just say, oh, the trust has 2 trustees and we only have 1 on the contract. I'm now alerted that there's a deceased trustee. That changes the game. I now need a death certificate. I now need the full trust. And people are very private with their information, and rightfully so, but I now have to have that conversation to get all pages, all amendments. We just don't want to cause any delay. We want to keep things moving as smooth and efficiently as possible.
And you guys are very proactive on what you need in the documents. But if somebody, like you said, people are private, somebody died in the family, don't want to discuss it, and it gets to a certain point and you find out it's going to slow things out and maybe extend the contract a little longer because you have to get that death certificate and more paperwork. So if you're an escrow, tell your escrow everything about the owners, because that will make the process smooth and more efficient. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
For those who don't know me yet, my name is Shane Judge. I'm a real estate advisor out here in the greater Las Vegas area, and I work with great people like Danielle here. I help people like you buy, sell, and invest in real estate with a great support system and network that helps me through this. That's why we're doing this today. While you're here, go ahead and hit that like, smash subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on another video. And we'll continue this interview. What does the officer do with contingencies and deadlines?
So when it comes to contingency and deadlines, we definitely do follow the contract as the third party. So we're going to make sure that earnest money is deposited within that certain time frame. Close of escrow date is met. If we see any delays in between, we definitely alert people. Like I have a 10-day touch point. I'll follow up on loan documents. If I am alerted to any kind of delays, I'll certainly communicate that to all parties. As far as contingencies go, like we just make sure that everything is per the contract. I know you primarily handle that part in your role a little bit more than I do.
Yeah, I gotta stay on it. This is a big one. Escrow fees. People want to know about the escrow fees, and usually depends on what market it is, what deal you have. It's all negotiable. We can get the sellers to pay them. We can get the buyers to pay them. Trending lately, what's usually normal is a 50-50 split. What's common with the escrow fees?
So our title and escrow rates are all filed with the Division of Insurance, and it is calculated and based off of the sales price specifically and the loan amount. So they vary. It's very difficult to say like, oh, this price point is always this and that. It doesn't necessarily work on that. Now, Chicago Title does offer discounts for qualified buyers and sellers, so we'll always make sure that those get applied as well. That's also just another thing to note. If you know that you have a veteran or a senior or anything like that, let us know, because we don't know that until someone tells us.
Do you guys get first responders discounts too? Okay.
First responders, investors, seniors, veterans.
What about teachers?
Not that I'm aware of.
Come on, Chicago Title. Teachers are important.
I might be wrong on that.
It's all right. A cash offer, the fees could be like $1,500 to $2,000. But on a loan, it's going to be much more because there's a lot more documentation and stuff you have to file.
And it's not necessarily we charge a document fee. It's the lender policy.
Yeah,
so like our fees are pretty standard. Your escrow fee, pretty much your title insurance and your recording fee. Like we're not charging like the doc processing, a wire fee or any of those other fees. So ours are pretty cut cutthroat as far as like going right off of the loan amount and the sales price.
As of last 10, 15 years, you guys used to do things by hand, right?
I started in escrow where recordings were hand carried down to the county's office, and we didn't get that confirmation until it came all the way back by courier, and it was in like, it had like that carbon fiber. Oh my God, I'm really aging myself right now. But yes, times have changed. Things are all generated
it's online. All digital.
Yes. Digital market is what we're in right now. And it's very common for primarily sellers. They can sign over a webcam with a notary, like a FaceTime almost, but they do it with a webcam. They verify their identity. Lenders, if they are getting a loan, they're starting to come around more where it's kind of like a hybrid closing where only the notary documents are signed in person and some of it can be signed electronically.
Okay.
So we are definitely moving into that digital age where things are all just going to be done online.
Yeah, there's a few clients where I have to hand do it because they're so old, they don't know how to use it.
They still have checkbooks too, right?
Yeah. Digital is the way to go. It makes things so much easier.
Oh yeah,
so
faster, more efficient, and AI is checking over those things mostly. It's all done through the system, and it's wonderful. I mean, it's really like cross-referencing things and making sure it's done accurately.
What's the most misunderstood idea of what escrow and title is that you get a lot?
Well, because people don't know what I do.
Yeah.
They don't understand the importance or the value of it. But at the end of the day, you want title insurance to make sure there's no liens or judgments, things are paid in full, and the right owner is the one selling the property. Yeah. That is a huge thing. And it sounds so small and so simple, but it's real. Like,
it is real.
We want to cross-reference and make sure that you are getting a free and clear property because this is the biggest investment of your life. So you want to make sure that it's done properly, and going through a title insurance company is the only way to ensure that.
Yeah. So that's super important too, because in the last 5 years, that's happened to me 2 or 3 times. 2 times for sure. I think the 3rd time. But people were trying to sell property that weren't theirs.
Yes. That is a big thing right now. And newer for me, I have yet to experience one on a personal transaction of mine, but it happens where they're targeting properties that are not owner occupied, right? So
a lot of it is land too.
Yes, land. So they'll impersonate the sellers, and I mean fake IDs, fake passports, all of the above. They'll impersonate the seller and sell from right underneath. So Chicago Title has certain things in place where we verify through a face identity and verify who that seller is right when we open up escrow, as soon as we know that it's a non-owner occupied property.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'll be calling that seller and I'll say, hey, this is Danielle from Chicago Title. I'm your escrow officer. I see that you do not occupy your property and I need to verify your identity. If I got that phone call, I would say, I'm not going to verify my identity with you because I get scared of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I have to reassure them. And then I turn to you and I say, hey, I need you to help me because we have to verify these things. And I will literally go through a FaceTime where I'm looking at their ID. I'm asking them personal questions about when they purchased that property, how much they purchased it for, and if they can remember who they purchased it from. And these are all just to verify and validate who they are. It's a wild industry that we're in, and fraud is like such a real thing. So again, going through title insurance is so important to make sure that it's done right.
Yeah. And nobody's coming back. Oh, it's not
I
your
didn't
property.
actually sell my property. What are you talking about? Oh my God, could you imagine?
So from day one, I go into contract, we open escrow, you get that information. Usually within the next day, you send a prelim over. We go over the prelims. What's common here is HOA. So a lot of time the sellers will have to order it, but you being also escrow people, they'll order it for us.
Yes. And that's not something that is streamlined across the board. Like we order them as a courtesy to you. One less thing for you to have to do, right?
Yeah. And sometimes those HOAs are hard to get a hold of.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes, we have a whole department that just does all of that stuff. So we go ahead and get that done for you. And you can tell us when to send it to the sellers directly, because sometimes you want to wait until a certain due diligence period has passed. Prelims are generated, within 24 to 48 hours. So you may not want that to get paid until a certain point in your transaction. But yes, we'll be more than happy to get those done and send them over to the seller.
And that's usually within 14 days. It has to be 10 days before you close. You send the EMD money. Usually it's 48 hours. They handle all that, put it into an escrow account. So your money's safe. And then you go through, get your inspection done, everything comes back, your appraisal comes back good. And then we get to the end and we close. And all you do is go in there and sign paperwork. And if somebody's out of state, they'll just send a mobile notary and get that done. But let's talk about when things fall through. After contingencies are met and the buyer gets cold feet, maybe happened to me once, but their EMD money is lost because they went through those contingencies already and it's closed. Seller's not going to get it unless the buyer signs off on it. So I learned this the hard way. The EMD money is per contract is the seller's, but it's in escrow. The buyer has to be like, okay, that's right. They're right. The contract's right. I'm wrong. They have to sign off on that money going to the seller. Yeah. So no matter what your contract says, both parties have to agree to giving that money up. You run into issues where the party's like, no, I'm not doing it. Yes, I'm doing it. How's that work out?
Every case is a little bit different, but yes, we do run into EMD disputes. At that point, I do inform my manager of the EMD dispute. They typically will send out a 10-day letter where, hey, like, we're notified that there's earnest money dispute. We are looking to resolve or come to terms with it, and we wait for a response at that point. I've only had one in the last year where it ended up getting interpleaded, and because nobody was agreeing and we were just holding into an escrow. We can't hold on to money forever, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there are some cases where most of the time they do come to terms. They negotiate. Sometimes EMD is split. Sometimes the buyer's like, okay, you're right. I didn't follow. It, it says right here. Yeah, it'll go to small claims court. We'll get a court order that says where we need to release it to. So every case is a little bit different, but we do run into it.
You say when they wouldn't agree, it went to what would you say?
Interpleaded.
Interpleaded?
Yeah, it goes to the state basically.
Okay.
It'll go to the state and the state will determine what to do with the money.
Small claims court or whatnot. And in your contract, all contracts, you have to meet with the intermediary before you can sue the other party. But just get a better realtor and you won't have those issues, right? I appreciate you coming, Danielle.
Of course.
You're amazing. I only work with the best of the best, and it's costed me lots of money going through that, getting my network secured. That's what a lot of people don't understand is like, why do you charge what you charge? Is because I've been through the ringer looking for great representation like you. I know what makes your business stand out. I know why I use you. You're always there. You're always very thorough. I have your personal cell phone number, which I've worked with other escrow officers and I have to go through their secretary to get to them. That's the most annoying thing. So what makes you and your company stand out from other title companies?
Well, I can only speak for myself personally, and it took a lot of growth for me to get here, but being the one that's personally on the phone with you as well as your customers, being the one that's personally looking at that prelim and letting you know, hey guys, this is exactly what's on here, not just my team. I do have a fantastic team that does things for me and to make sure that the transaction goes smoothly, but I have to say what helps me stand out the most is just being the one that you're in contact with. Because we're a team.
You're a team. It's like, I want to talk to Danielle. This is Jessica. How can I help you? No, I want to talk to Danielle. And you always respond great. One thing we didn't cover is, because there's multiple ways to take title, right? So when people want to change it to a trust or an LLC, we change it with an addendum.
Yes.
And it gets put on the deed that way. It's pretty easy, right?
Yeah, it is pretty easy. So let's just say you first open up contract with Shane Judge as the buyer, and now you want to change it to your trust. So yes, we do need an addendum, and then I will ask for a copy of that trust certificate to make sure that Shane Judge is the trustee and authorized signer for that trust. But yes, very simple, just an easy adjustment on my end.
1031 exchanges?
We handle those all the time. I have several transactions right now with exchanges, whether it's the seller's proceeds going to an exchange company or the buyer's funds are coming from an exchange company. Pretty easy as far as my standpoint goes. They'll just ask for a copy of the prelim and the contract. They're the ones that are generating the docs and processing those funds. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, the 1031 company is. And they just give you the money to give to the seller or vice versa. Gotcha. Yeah. Short sales, are those hard?
Not really. I haven't had a short sale in a few years, but I mean, it's pretty easy. And we're not the ones that are negotiating the short sale process.
Yeah, so you guys just handle it.
So we'll draw up the settlement statement to show what liens could be on there, what charges could be on there, see what the net worth would be. And then the short sale company is going to sit there and determine, hey, we're not actually going to pay the escrow fee. We're not actually going to pay the agent's commission. And then you have to sit there and do some adjustments between all of us. Yeah. But it's not that they're harder, they're longer.
Yeah. Okay. Probate?
Yes.
Probate's always fun. Get a trust, people.
Yes,
Get a trust and don't do probate.
Yes, I do handle a lot of probate. Sometimes can be a longer process if we're waiting for court approval to approve the sale. It could delay things. So sometimes I've had transactions where the buyer's agent didn't know it was under probate. How that happened, I don't exactly know, but I'm just saying, like, just notify everybody up front, because I sound like the bad guy when I'm like, hey guys, this is actually probate and you need to extend for 4 months.
I just don't interview anybody. They have to be vetted. They've had to have gone through the ringer with me. Smiles, cries, laughs, tears, all that good stuff. And, you know, they have to deal with because sometimes I get bent out of shape because things don't go my way. Dealing with agents that don't know it's probate, things like that. She's always good at calming me down. We'll take care of it. We'll handle A, B, and C. And
problem solver.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been great working with you. Thanks for doing this. So
no.
Danielle Martorano from Chicago Title. She's one of the best in the business. And I thank you for doing this. And hopefully this gives my viewers a little more perspective and understanding of why title and escrow are so important. Well, that's it for escrow and title. I appreciate her for doing this and sitting through my stumbling of words and whatnot. Thank you guys for watching. If you're still here, I appreciate you. Hit that like, subscribe, smash the notification bell so you never miss out on another educational video. That's why I do these videos, so you guys have less questions, you guys have more answers. And like always, stay curious, keep exploring, and I'll see everybody on the next one.